We continue with our reread of Negation. This is issue number 23. Tony Bedard, Poor Pelletier, Dave Makis, and Laura Martin in on this one. And this was a pretty darned exciting issue. As we can see up here, that's Javi and the Mark of Charon group against our friends here trekking through the sewer for some reason. I don't think they were in the sewer in the issue. But the issue starts with them trying to make... They're on some random planet trying to make some deals for some equipment and supplies because they, I think in the very last issue, the leader of the rebellion they captured went off on his own, and they're doing their own thing, trying to figure out what to do with life. There's the baby that couldn't be harmed by anybody. They're trying to figure out that. Meanwhile, they get a pet dog. Surprisingly, it has something to do with the plot. That's why it's surprising. But then Javi and his gang show up. And it turns out Javi's a lot more powerful than he once was when he was with them. And he takes out Evan Leah, their strongest person, and ends up stealing her power. So now, next issue, I guess we're going to have to see how Kane and the gang fare against these new sigil bearers. So a lot of pause in this issue, and then it gets exciting. Negation, not Mark of Charon. Negation, issue number 24. And yeah, we get a big fight in this issue. And it even continues the next issue. That's how big a fight it is. Between the Mark of Charon guys, led by Javi, our former team member, and Kane and the sigil bearers. We have a little backstory on Javi there, which was the Mark of Charon miniseries. And we get the Mark of Charon sigil bearers. And it's a superhero fight. You know, there we go. They're fighting each other. They're trying to, the good guys are trying to match up with the opponents they can defeat best with. And the Mark of Charon guys are just trying to overwhelm them with power, and we get lots of fighting, some surprises, very fast-moving issue. And there's Javi right there, and he's acting like a true believer now. He believes Charon is God, and he's gonna do his best to fulfill his God's will. So it's a pretty interesting fight scene. Now I'm going to have to see how it ends next issue. Negation number 25. There's Gamede there. We get the end of our fight. And of course the good guys win, but there's a big price to pay. And Javi just keeps going mad. And besides the price to pay to win the fight, we get a big plot turn in this, where after the fight is over, at least half of the crew just can't stick with Kane anymore. They're like, we're dying one by one. We can't fight the god of this universe. We're just going to go and hide. And Kane is like, what do you mean go and hide? They're going to hunt you down and find you. There's them trying to defeat Javi, and they're like, well, it's a big universe. We can hide. There's that guy arguing, I am out of here. So that's an interesting plot twist. And then we get after, let's see, they're all the guys who want to leave right there. They're like, we're out of here, and the people who want to stay are just a few of them up there. And then Evan Leah, as we see from the cover of next issue, is like, I'm going to go. He's like, the only one who can get me back to my home universe is Charon, so I'm going to go cut. She's the super powerful one. She's like, I'm going to go and try to convince him to send me back, or whatever plan she's got. But I guess next issue we're going to see if how her plans go. I suspect they won't go well. Okay, here we go with issue 26 of Negation. Only one issue left of this series, and then 2 issues of Negation War. It's again by Tony Bedard, Poor Pelletier, Dave Mekas, and Laura Martin. And in this issue, we get Evan Leah trying to make a deal with Charon to be his queen. And she nukes an entire city in order to get his attention. Yeah, she's a bit of a maniac. And besides that whole plot line, excuse me, we get a plot line where the remaining few who are with Cain are trying to figure out what's the story with the indestructible baby. So we got those. So it's kind of it's a quiet issue if you consider nuking an entire city quiet. But and then we get here is Evan Leah trying to talk Charon into letting her be his queen. And this lizard lady, when she eats her race, when they eat someone, they get the memories of that someone. And so she's eating a hair from the baby, or not eating a hair from the mother to try to figure out, because the mother doesn't even know who she is too, and she might be indestructible or she might not. But she goes, I know the secret. And then of course they stop that in this issue. They don't give us any more of the secret. So fun issue, mostly quiet, mostly plot stuff going on in this one. So we'll see how the last issue plays out. Okay, we've got Negation 27, which is the last issue of Negation before we get to Negation War. And then in this issue, we finally find out the secret of the baby and the mother, who it turns out are really one person, who were supposed to, who were split into 2 to sneak into a negation space, and so that Charon won't notice them. But they don't know that. And they get some code word, and where is it? They turn into a whole new person. Where's that whole new person? This whole new person. So we got that going on. Meanwhile, we get Charon announcing he's going to war against the Bright Universe, the Crossgen universe. And Evan Leah, there she is in her bondage outfit now, is his new queen and consort, who announces who's going to lead them against the First. And then it ends with going into the Negation War. And once again, who shows up is Apollyon, who we learned about early on in the series, who was sort of the angel to Charon's devil, except he got defeated early on, and Charon took over the universe. So now, the whole plan of this series was, it was supposed to end and then go into Negation War, but, spoiler, there was supposed to be 6 issues of Negation War, and there were only 2. Before Crossgen went out of business. So we'll read the only 2 issues of Negation War, but we'll never get to see the end of it. Okay, here we go. We've got Negation War, issue number 1, the final end to the story of the negation, even though we don't really get the final end. But it starts with, we're back in the Crossgen universe, the Bright universe, and here's sort of a Superman-type character who's a sigil bearer. And Evan Leah and Charon show up because they're starting the war against the Bright universe, the Crossgen universe. And there's their Superman-type character. But of course, he can't stand up to Charon and Evan Leah. But eventually the story, Charon's really looking for the guy who gave him the sigil. So he finds the guy who gave him the sigil. And meanwhile, we've got Cain and what's left of his crew talking with Apollyon. And Apollyon says he's going to give them a bomb or something that can defeat Charon, which I think was the plot of an earlier Apollyon story, and it didn't quite work out that way. There's the person who gave the Superman-like character their sigil, and Charon defeats them. There's the Superman guy getting defeated by Elysia. If only I could remember all these names. But there's more to the battle going on. But like the invasion of the universe has finally started, and they're trying to figure out, and Cain is still trying to figure out Charon. And then at the end, we get Cain gets sent by Apollyon into the Crossgen universe, and the Way of the Rat guy shows up. Because I think all the Crossgen characters were supposed to show up in this final battle with Charon, but we get the Way of the Rat guy first, and we'll see who shows up in issue 2. Here it is, the last issue. After 27 issues of Negation and 2 issues of Negation War, Crossgen went out of business. By the way, Marvel now owns this. Not that they're ever going to finish the story, but it is a terrific story. We get, this starts with Charon returning to his ship and giving orders, and last issue, Elysia may have died, but it turns out she didn't. And then we switch to the gathering of all the Crossgen sigil bearers, because I think there's one book called Sigil, and this guy, Samadal Ray, was the star of it. That, I think, was the Chuck Dixon written book. I don't remember who drew it. That was sort of their military-type book about these 2 warrior races that were always fighting each other, one human and one lizards. And then it turns out there he is. He's the one who's supposed to gather together all the sigil bearers in order for them to fight Charon. So that's what he does. Here he is, the guy who's behind it all, who gave out all the sigils. We finally find out, and he's like, you got to gather them all together. And he's like, what? He's just, he's this tough-talking Nick Fury army guy. So he's like, what am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. So then we get, this is Mordath from the Sojourn book. He was the bad guy in the Sojourn book, and he's the one with the sigil. So he shows up. And he has to talk. Then he leaves him off on the world. There's some other sigil bearers there too. I don't know if those ones were from actual comics or not. But here are some from actual comics. There's one from Rereading. I think that's that woman there. This is, what was that one? That was the magic book. I can't remember the name of. And then there's that guy from, I read Scion. There's the lead from Scion. He's in there too. Oh, and this is Brath from the book Brath. So he's gathering them all together. And then we have Obregon Cain is still on his own mission, doing his own thing with Apollyon. Then the story ends on a cliffhanger, because we switch to the world of the First, which is where Elysia comes from, and they're all powerful gods like her. And it ends with Elysia showing up on the First's homeworld, which is completely cloaked. She's the only one who could find it, and bringing the lawbringers with her. And so it ends with this, all these lawbringers showing up on the first planet, and next issue, the Battle of Elysia, and there's the issue that never happened. Nice, like I said, Crossgen went out of business right here, and to me, it's a great unfinished story. I always liked this one. But actually, I met, and this is also by Tony Bedard, Poor Pelletier, David Meckes, and Laura Martin. The usual crew wrapped it up. Well, didn't wrap it up. Got cut off in the middle of wrapping it up. But I remember I met Tony Bedard at a convention once, and he told me the ending to it, which I really don't remember, because it was kind of just like they all team up and defeat Charon. And there was also there was sort of a bigger story there that had to do with, it was all like Mark Alessi, I think it was the owner of Crossgen, and he was kind of annoying all the employees. And so Tony Alessi Charon was kind of based on him, who died a couple years ago, fairly young, Tony Alessi, the Crossgen owner. But there was some meta story with him in there too, which you really didn't know as your average reader like me. But like I said, there were, after 4 issues of battle, they were going to end up defeating Charon, but it never happened. We only got Negation War 1 and 2. We never got Negation War 4 through 6, but it's still worth a read. I still enjoy this whole series a lot. It's fast-moving, action-packed, sort of adventure, superhero adventure, sci-fi superhero alternate world adventure. I don't know how to describe it. But June 2004, Crossgen came to an end. So, and like I said, Marvel owns all the Crossgen properties now because Disney bought Crossgen in bankruptcy. At the time, it said Disney bought them because they wanted just one book, the Abadazad book, I think it was, by, did Mike Palug do that? I can't remember. They wanted that one book, so they just bought it all in bankruptcy. And then Disney bought Marvel, so now Marvel owns Crossgen. And Marvel actually put out 3 Crossgen books at one time. They put like a mini series of a couple of things that were mediocre. But, Tony Bedard and Poor Pelletier work for Marvel. They could have had them finish this and had a nice evergreen omnibus in their library, but they never did. So I think that's a missed opportunity on Marvel's part because this is a really good series. But there you go. Reading a run. Negation 1 to 27. Negation War 1 to 2. Now I have to find something to read next.